I would like to invite Glen Berger to come up, who has a few words for you. Ed, I think we'll need the, yeah.
Hello, hello. Hello, good evening, and Gamar Chativa Tova. I am going to reveal a secret to you, unburden myself, but it will come in a couple minutes. My name is Glen Berger, and our family used to live just around the corner from here, but now we're on the other side of the river, about an hour away up near Hudson. Now, being just around the corner from here didn't mean we were members of Kehilat Lev Shalem. I hadn't stepped foot into any synagogue for a long time for reasons, so no, being just around the corner meant our family had access to a big, empty parking lot, which enabled my wife Karen and I to teach Sylvie, Solomon, and later Theo how to ride a bike. It was a perfect arena for that. Lots of room, no cars, pretty private, pretty perfect, except, so, okay, I'd get their helmets on, knee pads, elbow pads. If I could have strapped a pillow to them, I would have. And then go, and they're off. And I'd be running behind one of my wobbling kids, trying to make sure they didn't tip over. And, you know, when you do this, you better have your cardio up to snuff, because you're going to be running with hands going like this, because you don't want them to fall, because you love them. You love them. And anyway, the place was perfect, except I would look up, and I would see the synagogue and the guilt. The guilt. The guilt. So, one day in 2008, when Solomon and Sylvie were still quite young and Theo had just been born, we dipped a very tentative toe. We attended a service, and the congregation was so involved and exuberant and warm and funny, and Rabbi Jonathan was now making a serious point, but he was competing with a leaf blower outside, and it would have driven me crazy if I were him, but instead he folded it into his sermon, and at that moment, maybe in Yiddish, Aufklärung, Satori, a kick in the eye. I got religion, I was hooked, and we enrolled our kids in the family school, and we began paying membership dues. We were a young family. My wife wasn't working at the time, and I'm a writer. My income was all over the place. It would break any Excel spreadsheet that tried to graph it. But the pitch from here was always, we'll work with you. We'll figure out what you can manage, and we'll go from there. I mean, that's the pitch everywhere, right? But I tested it. I stress tested that pitch like nobody's business. And the rewards were beyond words. All three of my children became a B'nai Mitzvah, and by that point we had moved, and a few years later I was asked to be on the rabbi search committee, which I happily agreed to. It was going to be about a 3-month commitment, right? Well, 2 years later, a beautiful result. I'm so proud of the work we did, and prouder than ever to be a part of this community, this beautiful, full-hearted community. But even though I was a part of it, here's the secret. I wasn't completely a part of it. You see, when I was asked a couple weeks ago to make this speech about the importance of contributing to the financial well-being of the WJC and being a member in good standing, Nathan Brenowitz didn't know I was a member in kind of pretty, actually completely lousy standing. We were in arrears, And the worst part about it was that as the arrears got ever more arreary, it seemed more and more impossible that I could ever fix it. And even worse, I had just told Nathan I would give this speech. And so I was going to be a massive hypocrite right as the book, the capital B book, was closing. So I realized it was time again to stress test the WJC pitch. I shakily dialed the number. I reached a warm, lovely voice on the other side, and we came to an arrangement that will still allow me to pay for my kids' college and make me again a member in good standing. And it feels really good. So I am standing here, living testament that it's not just a pitch, it's a credo. And here's the thing, the WJC will always be a 6-year-old on a bicycle. It will never not be wobbly. But I am committed because I have love for this place. And I think about this every time I park in that parking lot. I'm committed to doing what I can to help the WJC be even just a little less wobbly. Because we don't want it to get a scraped knee. We don't want it to cry. And by the way, an anonymous donor has pledged to match donations up to $18,000. So, please, let's do what we can, whatever little, whatever large we can, to keep the WJC upright and whizzing along and maybe even ringing its little bell. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.